Hey there folks, so today's video contains indirect and generalized spoilers of the Ahsoka series. Now, I'm not revealing any story or plotline specifics, but show events are indeed being referenced. So accordingly, please make your own decision as to the timing of your viewing of this video. Go Commando, fellow Star Wars nerds. The ARH team has been presented with a major opportunity, one which I believe needs to be capitalized on. An opportunity to write one of FFG's missteps and do it based on brand new, hot off the press Star Wars content. Two birds, one stone. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Star Wars Destiny folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando cast, and happy Destiny Friday. Thanks for tuning in once again. Today, talking the righting of a wrong. Now, that sounds so dramatic, right? To be very clear, FFG didn't do anything wrong, right? But I do think that they missed an opportunity. So what am I talking about exactly? Well, I've been catching up on the Ahsoka series. I'm still several episodes behind, right? So again, I'm not doing any spoilers or anything today. But I ran across an episode where, oh my goodness, in a flashback scene of sorts, we have Anakin, Jedi Knight Anakin, and his Padawan, young Ahsoka Tano. And they were running around with clone troopers fighting. Phenomenal. I got very, very, very excited, and I loved it, right? Regardless of what else is going on, it was phenomenal. Brought back a lot of emotions of enjoying the Clone Wars series and all that, and it was a pretty cool scene, all in all. Now, where I'm going with this, right, in terms of the opportunity presented, is it really said, hey, you know, something that now, you know, one of the things that when ARH is looking at content, by and large, they can be driven by the new content. I mean, that's no real surprise if you look at their past sets. Not really the themes as much, but kind of their key characters or whatever. They've been incorporating things from the new set, right? We have Cassian in the Andor series, in the last set, and so on. So now that we've seen this in a new series, it's like, hey, we could bring back something like that, because let's go ahead and throw up the FFG thematic pairing that they did actually at the end of the set, right? Because Anakin actually came in CM, right? But this is Anakin and Padawan Ahsoka working together. Now, it's an okay pairing, right? They work together. They kind of synergize together a little bit, more so with Anakin to her. But their points add up and it works. But that's really about it, right? So in terms of this being a quote-unquote thematic win, I really don't think it was. And this wasn't really, I mean, it was playable because you can get them on the table, but it wasn't really good, right? Nobody really used this. And Anakin had his own set of problems. He was just not good. And even that ability. Anyway, so I don't want to go too much on that, right? But, you know, you compare this to something like a Reylo. I mean, no secret, I think FFG nailed the snot out of Reylo. I think it was the best thematic pairing they ever did. And this is just, it's not on par with them. And I think that would be a really cool one to see what the ARH folks can do with it. And specifically, the reason I think ARH would do a good job with it is if we look historically at what they've done. You know, look at Guy Love, right? Absolutely phenomenal job, right? They've done other great thematic pairings along the way as well. And I'm excited to see what they could do with it. And I think that they should go with this. So what I want to talk about for the rest of this is kind of what do we think that pairing would and or could look like. So I think, again, I'll throw up the FFG pairing. What was one of the problems with this pairing? Well, obviously, like I said, first off, Anakin was just not really great. But you also we've historically run into problems when you have, because this is basically a big little, right? Now, part of the problem with this is he's not even really big enough, right? Like if you look at like a historical big little that does well, it's kind of like a 21, 22, 23 pointer with like a one die side person, right? So like Vader Greedo or whatever, right? We got Mando Sniper and stuff like that, right? Where you're really just using them kind of as a meat shield and for color splash. So obviously the Anakin, you're not going to have that advantage here, and by that I mean the color advantage, because they're obviously going to have to both be blue characters, right? We get that. So where should it land from like a point standpoint? It's not going to have to play like a big little, so you're probably in the 17, 18 range with, and maybe even 16, but that's starting to get a little low because you do want, right, from a thematic standpoint, you do want Anakin to be way better than Ahsoka at this stage in her development, right? But is 19, I think 1911 is too much. 16, right? Because then you're 16, 14, maybe. But I think so probably that 17, 18 range is probably about right. And then obviously you'd have, Ahsoka being the balance to that. Now, to add on that though, something that I think has really enhanced the thematic pairings in the past, whether it be FFG or whether it's been what ARH has done, has been through the use of a targeted plot. And, you look at Guy Love, right? They have the partisan plot, which sure is not unique to them. And I'm not proposing we have a plot that, must it be Anakin and Ahsoka, right? Because then that's a little too targeted. And then that ends up, you typically, because it's too targeted, they kind of have to downplay the power of it, right? Because you don't want the deck to be too strong. So something like the hero version of Rule of Two or something like that, right? And I'm not saying directly to Rule of Two, but you understand what I'm saying here, right? Where it's include only if you have a master and apprentice or something like that, right? And to be clear, we have seen stuff like that in the past, but something that specifically kind of gels with their abilities more than anyone else would, so that it's open and could be used with others, but maybe isn't super ideal to that, right? We look at, again, the Guy Love case, right? They brought in the partisan plot. Well, you do like a 3-wide partisan, right? Like we've seen with Casero's deck, he was running the Casero indirect deck, right? That actually starts getting pretty powerful, spreading that around. So you want to make sure that it can't go sideways on you, but you don't want it to be too targeted that it becomes too powerful or too limiting on the other hand. Okay. But I do think that a 0-point plot, do you do a negative point plot if it pairs with them? I mean, maybe you do team ups, you could do that. But again, I think that kind of gets into the too targeted range, and then it's, not fungible and other things. So, but either way, I can't see not doing some sort of plot with this to really enhance the story or something along those lines. Now, in terms of the abilities here, right, ARH is going to have to get completely creative on how they want to do it. But we have to give FFG credit here and what they're trying. What has worked well on these team ups in the past, right? You look at Raylo, right? They bounced back and forth, right? I toss you something, you toss me something. And what FFG was trying to do here is like, you can actually steal a shield for a card. I can steal a shield, and if I put it on you, put it on my apprentice, if I benefit my apprentice, I get a bonus. Okay. That's cool, right? I like the idea of, if you have a team, the two of them working together, again, Baze Turret, right? Their power actions work together to support, and then you can let them be a little more powerful as a team, because when one of them goes down, you lose a lot of your support. So it's okay, and yeah, that ends up being a little more aggro, obviously, right? Like in the Baze Turret case, like it's a pretty aggro deck, and if you can't get done what you need done, you pretty much lose. I think that's okay, but the difference that you can compensate for here is that if Anakin's like 17 or an 18, then he can be a little better and able to stand on his own. Or you can get maybe you get into a plot type scenario where if Anakin goes down, Ahsoka can become better or something like that, right? So it could be like on defeat, give some bonus to Ahsoka, gets another die. I mean, right, getting another die in terms of like apprentice type plots isn't actually like a new concept. You could do that, or something to that effect, right? But I really like the concept of, I think we need to bring this back, right? It's very, very cool in terms of thematic. We have the opportunity to do it, and I think now's the time, right? So I'd be very excited. I mean, obviously I know that the new set's, kind of on the horizon, and it's not going to intercept this. Probably we won't see much from Ahsoka series in that set, I would guess. Maybe, probably not. Probably the set after that. But it's something to really, really think about, right? And sure, and actually let me know below, what ideas do you have for it? The ARH folks I know do read comments, right? So leave your comments, leave your ideas there, and hey, you never know, right? It can be a jumping off point for people to make their comments or their ideas or whatever, right? So anyway, I just thought that this was a really cool, I'm excited about it. Hopefully that's coming through. I thought this was a really cool thing to talk about because I would really like to see the flashback Anakin, the flashback Ahsoka kind of working as a team together. And, maybe they gel somehow with clone troopers or something like that. Like, that's interesting. I'm not really saying 3 white. I think they need to work as a 2-pair team, especially if you have a plot. But you could do something with, like, bouncing red cards. I don't know. We've got that with Ayla and Shakti, though, right? So that's maybe its own thing. But anyway, lots of ways they could go. I'm very excited to see what ARH will do with it if they decide to uncork that bottle or this bottle or whatever the right metaphor is. But excited to see. So anyway, folks, thanks for joining. Nothing else. Go Commando.